Once upon a time, in a small town nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, there lived a young boy named Ethan. Ethan was a kind and gentle soul with a big heart and an even bigger imagination. He loved to read books about distant galaxies and draw pictures of the characters that lived in them. However, Ethan's uniqueness made him the target of bullying at school. Some of the other children would tease him about his interests, calling him names and laughing at his drawings. Ethan tried to ignore the bullies and focus on his passions, but their words hurt him deeply. He began to feel lonely and doubted his worth. One day, after a particularly tough encounter with the bullies, Ethan sat under his favorite tree in the park, trying to hold back tears. That's when Mrs. Parker, an elderly lady who often walked her dog in the park, noticed him. She sat beside Ethan and asked him why he was so sad. Ethan shared his troubles with Mrs. Parker, who listened intently. After he finished, she shared a story from her own childhood about how she too was bullied for being different. She told Ethan that what made her overcome the bullying was realizing her own worth and the uniqueness of her personality. She encouraged Ethan to embrace his differences and continue pursuing what he loved, regardless of what others said. Inspired by Mrs. Parker's words, Ethan decided to take a stand. He began to carry himself with more confidence, and rather than hiding his drawings, he shared them with his classmates. To his surprise, many of them were genuinely interested and impressed by his talent. Ethan even started a comic book club at school, which attracted a diverse group of students, including some who had never spoken to him before. One day, the very same bullies who had teased Ethan approached him, not with taunts, but with curiosity. They had seen his drawings and heard about the comic book club. Ethan, remembering Mrs. Parker's advice, welcomed them with kindness. Over time, some of the bullies became regular members of the club, and they apologized to Ethan for their previous behavior. Ethan learned that sometimes the best way to overcome bullying is not with anger or resentment, but with understanding and compassion. By staying true to himself and sharing his passions, he not only found friends who appreciated him for who he was, but also transformed his former bullies into allies. And so Ethan's story spread throughout the school, inspiring others to stand up for themselves and embrace their uniqueness. The once lonely boy who loved to dream about galaxies far away had not only overcome the bullies, but had also brought his whole school closer together. In the end, Ethan realized that it was his differences that made him special, and by sharing them with the world, he made it a brighter place for everyone.